Jamie Dimon suggesting to the Senate Banking Committee that cryptocurrencies should be banned. Meanwhile, the price of Bitcoin soaring more than 150% this year, and more recently topping now $44,000. Right now it's about $43,226 on hopes of a future ETF. At least that's part of the calculus. Maybe the calculus being that the Fed is going to lower interest rates and sort of easy money policy and what that means. Mike Novogratz is here, Galaxy founder, CEO, and chairman. Let's go straight to the Jamie Dimon of it all. You watched that, you heard him say that, and you thought what to yourself?
He keeps doubling down and he keeps being wrong. What surprises me is so many of Jamie's clients, right? Some of the wealthiest guys in America, Abby Johnson at Fidelity, Jeff Yass, Stan Druckenmiller, Ray Dalio, big investors all believe that Bitcoin is a store of value. We see it in our client base. Our trading desk has been busy with hedge funds buying. We see it in institutions buying. And so I don't know where Jamie gets off thinking that he's smarter than all those guys. It's the epitome of
he's also spoken out against carried interest, and most of his clients happen to be beneficiaries of that and enjoy that and think it's a great idea as well. So,
carried interest is kind of tax policy, and I actually kind of agree with Jamie on carried interest. So it's very different on saying what has value, right? I think it's supreme arrogance to think he knows what has value, but all the rest of the people don't. And quite frankly, he's just been proven wrong. Bitcoin has way outperformed JPMorgan stock over 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, you name the period. People around the world believe in this. They believe in the community, the ecosystem. They see governments spending too much money, not just here in the U.S., but everywhere, and think you're going to debase fiat currency. And so, I mean, the story has kind of already been argued and won. When Larry Fick went on your show and said, I think you're going to see Bitcoin in all portfolios, I think, it was kind of game over.
Well, the game hasn't in some ways begun yet because Larry Fink is not able to even offer Bitcoin yet to his clients for the most part. So let's talk about that piece of it. Where do you think the SEC is? How much do you think actually what Jamie Dimon's saying was an effort to stymie or to slow down or to make the SEC rethink wherever it may be if you think that the winds are shifting in your favor, for example? I was trying to get in his head yesterday about why he's doing this, right? I mean, pandering to Elizabeth Warren maybe so she doesn't come down hard on banks. There doesn't seem to be a whole lot of sense. Listen, the SEC is going to approve a Bitcoin ETF, and they're going to do it soon. All our indications is that's going to happen. There are 7 or 8 really credible players. People have been saying that with great certainty now for the last 12 months. And by the way, we're saying that with great certainty 2, 3, 4 years ago.
No, I think things shifted and they shifted, and we can tell just by our own application with the type questions that come back where you are in that process.
But Mike,
they shifted because they lost a court case.
Let me ask you this, Mike. There are going to be people who are watching us who are going to say Mike Novogratz is talking his book. He's got so much money invested in this stuff. It's got to work for him. And then there's other people who might say Jamie Dimon's talking his book. I will say I'm deferring. I'm not deferring that I'm necessarily agreeing with Jamie Dimon per se, but I don't think that he's talking his book in that I believe that this is a view he has held. You may believe it's incorrect, but I think it's a genuine view that he has.
Listen, he's been consistently wrong. I like Jamie. I actually want him to run for president. I think he's a very smart guy, but he's been consistently wrong on Bitcoin. He just has. And what he's been wrong about is the appeal continues to show up everywhere. Right? This is one of the only global assets, not just in the U.S., but in Japan and Korea. Everywhere you see people, you see Bitcoin. And, that story, it's a system of narrative, actually, right? It's the social construct between two people who say, I believe this has value, therefore it does. Very similar to gold. And that continues to percolate all over the globe. It's not that complicated, quite frankly.
Well,
right?
But, I want to make I don't know if there's an observation that's going to be interesting to you or not. So Anthony Pompliano, who I know you know well, was on the set earlier this week. And we were talking just about how much of Bitcoin today is owned both internationally, but also who the buyers are today. And one of the things that I thought was so interesting, and I don't want to misspeak about what he said, but that it was a lot of the same buyers, meaning, first of all, 70% of Bitcoin has been held for years now by the same people, and that it's the same people who keep doubling down on it. And I don't know whether you think that's actually a good sign. I don't think that's great loyalty to this thing, but listen, I don't know if that's actually a good sign.
I like Anthony, but he doesn't have a big broker-dealer that's dealing with lots of clients. We're seeing a diverse client base buy this. If you just look at the public stocks, look at Marathon or MicroStrategy. I mean, Michael Saylor sold $750 million or $650 million of stock last month, and he's selling another $750 to buy Bitcoin, and his stock doesn't go down. There is an unbelievable pent-up demand with U.S. retail equity investors to get exposure to crypto. Marathon, Riot, all those stocks trade amazingly well with large volume. And so I really think there is a much broader base of people that want to own digital assets, that want to own Bitcoin, than just the few, crazy Bitcoiners that maybe Anthony was talking about.